Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, and we have lots of great topics to discuss. But before we start, I just wanted to say, there's so many YouTube videos about how to become rich, I don't know, in 2 weeks, in a month. And our focus today is how you can create a very rich, fulfilling relationship. So without any more waiting, I'm going to introduce my good friend and also Vedic astrologer, Simon Chokoisky. Hi, Simon. How are you today?
Firozé, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Lovely to see you. So, can you just give us a little summary as far as what Vedic astrology is and what I would say 95% of people think of what it is and it is not.
Well, when people think of astrology, they think of the newspaper or they think of sun signs. I'm a Scorpio, she's a Libra, etc. And some scientific-minded people will even go to the point and say, well, there are actually 13 constellations in the zodiac, so your constellation is wrong. And besides, on March 21st, the sun is not in Aries. It's right still in Pisces. So everything is wrong. So how can you believe this stuff? Well, it's like saying, think about football and soccer. Um, European football, right, is measured in meters. The field is measured in meters. The American football field is measured in yards. But they still work within that system, even though they have a different system of measuring, just as Western astrology, sun signs, and so forth have their own system that's based on March 21st being the 0 degrees Aries, the beginning of Aries. The Vedic system says, well, that's nice, but we're actually going to use the actual constellations, and we take 0 degrees Aries, the constellation in the sky, as being the beginning of Aries. So two different set of rules. They both work, and when in the hands of a competent person, that's the key, right? Because if you don't know what you're doing, you can get into a lot of cognitive bias. So if someone reads to you Capricorn, and you say, yeah, that kind of sounds like me. Turns out you're not a Capricorn, right? Because human beings want to make things fit. And so if you're practicing at that level, then you get problems and you're not going to practice good astrology. So like any art or science, you need to study it, you need to develop it, and you study it just a little bit. You scratch beneath the surface and you find that there's a heck of a lot to this stuff. And that it can produce meaningful and consistent results and predictions when applied correctly. And what does that mean? It means don't use just your sun sign. You know, there's the moon, Mars, Venus, the nodes, both the south and the north node of the moon. And you can use Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, the outer planets. And if you're super swashbuckler adventurer, you can use things like the outer what do they call them? The Kyber KBO objects, right? Which are like Sedna or Chiron, which is actually in our solar system, which is half comet, half asteroid, and all these cool things that give you results. But you have to know the rules of the game first. And if you do, and that's what we're going to talk about, you can make amazing predictions about when are you going to be wealthy? Are you going to be wealthy? If not, if there are challenges, what can you do? And as you said today, relationships. When am I going to find the one? Or is the guy I'm with or the gal I'm with the one? They're in the other room. Shh, just tell me quick.
Yeah.
Right? So we can see that. And nothing is 100%, nothing works all of the time. But having this system that allows you to look at reality from a vantage point, I don't know of any other system like that. In fact, Jyotisha, the name for astrology in Sanskrit, means the eye of the Veda. The Veda is the entire body of human knowledge. So
Mhm.
this is truly the eye that allows you to see everything as it is, past, present, and future.
Right. No, and the interesting thing is the difference also between Vedic astrology and Western astrology is that one's ascendant is very important. But I know we don't have a very long time. I wanted to basically focus on compatibility because I'm one of your students, and I think we've been working together for 3 or 3.5 years with basically Delano and putting, I mean, of course, you basically put it together, but there've been many other people who've joined in, and we have learned so much and discovered so much about compatibility. And it's truly is a science and an art. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, compatibility for me has become over the last few years the most important component that I look at with astrology, even more than than other stuff. It's like medicine. You can go into any kind of specialty. You can become a podiatrist and work on feet. You can become an optometrist and work on the eyes. You can be a general. Same thing with astrology. You can focus on specific areas. So for compatibility, the one problem we have is that we need birth times for both people. And if we don't have an accurate birth time, then we can still do it, but it's not as precise. It's not as perhaps insightful into all areas of the relationship. Like, for example, we just added a feature to Delano. Delano, by the way, is the software that I built along with our partners based on this ancient wisdom that's been tested, back tested on hundreds of couples, and we continue to test in not quite double blind studies, but ongoing statistical studies that we're doing ourselves to make it better and to see that does it work. So anyway, nothing works 100%. Again, just want to reiterate this: no program replaces life.
Can
And
I also
but
interject by saying that
mhm.
we're not only talking about love compatibility, but we can look at someone who wants to become a business partner, or if you're having issues with your
Yes.
mother or father or brother or sister or any family member.
Well, yes. And I mean, you can get down to any kind of detail. Like we just added a module called marriage inclination and disinclination. And so you can see if you're just dating someone, how likely are they going to want to be in a committed relationship? And if they're in that way, you can predict who's going to instigate the partnership. So I just saw a couple where one person had low marriage inclination, their partner had high. And I asked him, you know, did your partner instigate the marriage? He's like, yep. Why? Well, because she's the one who had the. So you can even tell that kind of stuff. You can tell, but yes, you can compare people based on their sexual compatibility. Amazing. Everybody who goes to a nightclub or is single wants to know that. Why? Because our statistics have found, believe this or not, I didn't expect this at all, that having good sexual compatibility is one of the key factors to keeping couples together longer. The couples that last the longest have this metric high. I didn't expect that. I thought friendship, other factors, emotional compatibility. Nope. I mean, yeah, those are important too, but the sexual one is up there with the rest of them. So we measure that. We measure friendship. We can even measure if you know what to look for. Are you going to help each other make money
Mm,
for a business or even for a marriage?
right. And the other
Is she lucky for me? Am I lucky for her, etc.?
exactly. And the other part of it is um, with, I would say, one of the sections, you can actually find out by looking at the different houses what things are more important in your relationship, which is really,
It's a
really
big
interesting
one. Yeah.
because, as you said, I would say in the modern age, your sex life is really important, but also No, I mean, sex is not important for every relationship. Some people are focused on money. Some people on just
You
having
see
children.
this in some famous couples.
Yeah,
Some famous couples, you're like, oh, it's all about their career. Like they help each other's career out, and that's why this relationship works. Like you get an insight, or for certain couples, it's about family. Like it's about kids.
right.
This relationship is about their children,
Yeah,
or money, right? So you can, and of course, we don't tell any couple this is what your relation. We ask them, hey, this indicates that children may be a big priority for you in this relationship. Can you talk to me about that? And then they'll usually confirm, like, yeah, absolutely. That's why we got together. We wanted to have kids. Blah blah blah.
yeah. I just did
Um,
a reading for a couple, and they've been together, I think, for 30 years. And she's also a friend, and she had asked me, and I mean, I know most of her life story, but what was really underlined was the fact that, you know, they spent most of their life just focused on both of their sons. It was hot and heavy for the first, year, and then after that, sex was not important anymore.
yeah. So yeah, those are some of the things we can isolate in the app, and of course, you can do that by comparing two charts together yourself. We just created the app to make it easier so that you don't have to be an astrologer. You don't have to study for years to be able to pull up these charts and compare them. It sort of does the heavy lifting for you.
But you
But
still need an
just the fact,
astrologer,
even if you're
though.
not interested in doing that, just pulling up your own compatibility can give you tremendous insight into your relationship and your baggage and where you're going. There's a timing element to it as well.
Yeah. And what I wanted to really focus on, like I said at the beginning, there is so much focus on making money. And I think really to be able to have a fulfilling life, you need to have a balance between, your love life. I mean, some of us are more passionate maybe than others, but I think that the joy of life comes when you can share the beautiful things in your life, whether it's money, success, or whatever, with another human being.
It's absolutely true. One of the scary statistics, though, is that most couples do break up over money. So one of the things we want to look at, or for money problems, right? That create stress in the relationship, and then the it starts to tear away at the foundation of the relationship. But and that's why, honestly, you can have the best offer in the world, but you need a person to interpret those data. So the data that the software gives you, it's a lot of information, believe it or not. It's not what you're going to read in a newspaper. It's hundreds and hundreds of points of data. And you need someone, this is why we've trained professional compatibility experts using the Delano method to be able to look at any two charts. And by the way, every relationship is a fingerprint. It is truly unique. So you have to be a detective to be able to understand, okay, what is this particular relationship about? What are its strengths? What are its weaknesses? And the best way to do that is to have someone who knows how to use um, that tool.
Mhm.
And you're one of those people.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so I hope your clients have the occasion to avail themselves of your services and to see what it's all about.
Yeah. Thank you. Any last uh, golden nuggets that you want to share?
We keep improving. I mean, I mentioned fingerprints. Think about DNA, right? When you're trying to solve a crime, at once upon a time there was no fingerprints, there was no DNA. How did they ever solve crimes back then? I don't know. Well, we're doing the same thing. We're trying to use the latest technology to make things better, make things easier. So take advantage of it. Like this is a golden time we live in with AI and computers and so forth, integrating the best of the ancient world with the best of the modern world for
Yeah.
your benefit.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a
Hadi Om.
pleasure, and hope we can do this again in the future. Thanks, Simon.
Absolutely. See you next time.
Okay, bye.
Okay.